Protesters took the heavy rainfall as some sort of sign and even brought their own statue of an angel crushing the devil.
Part of me wishes that angel statue would come to life, and King Baphomet would rise, and two eternal juggernauts would do battle right here in the middle of the city. But for what is this battle raging, you ask? I don't know. What stands at the center? To that I say, my soul is at the center, offered up to the ageless ones, only to be torn in twain.
The unveiling here in Detroit is historic. The Satan statue has never before been seen publicly. The Satanic Temple says the statue is a symbol for what they advocate, the separation of church and state.
It's like you can't have one without the other, you know? Like I'm equal parts God and the devil. A cloak of shame covers this man, and only supreme light will wash my body clean. But how could that light possibly reach me with the thick clouds of indecency that surround my poor soul? So I carry my wrongdoings on my back like some kind of tormented hiker, lost in the hills of misfortune, looking desperately for that peak to rescue him from the valley of depraved habitual self-pleasuring. But again, I find nothing except for sweaty, devastated loneliness and 1,000 judging eyes staring back at me from the cover of a stolen Victoria's Secret catalog. I didn't take your mail, Mrs. Pemberton. Stop asking me that. Leave me alone! Oh no? Satan's pretty cool.
Look away, look away, look away, Dixieland, 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 Dixieland. Praise God, rally, for this is the time and place. The International High View.
We still got a few hours.
Whoa, shut that bitch up.
All right, y'all. Thank you for tuning in to Dixieland the Proletariat. We're going to talk about Southern working class history and current events from a leftist perspective. Make sure to like us on social media at Dixieland the Proletariat, or find all of our links at our link tree at linktree/.prol. That's DOT-prol. Where, if you want to give your wages to a bunch of rednecks, you'll find the link to our Patreon, where we have a bunch of cool stuff to give you, including CDs, stickers, a cookbook, Discord server, Twitch stream, and exclusive episodes. We also have a Spotify playlist with some great artists y'all should check out. This podcast is brought to you by Contractual Monogamy, Therapy, Vaping, Living at Home, Modelo, Kaiser Pushing White Men in the Swamps, Tommy's Herbal Clinic, Nelson's Love Life, Tyler's Wild Stories, and the Dark Lord Satan. Shout out to new Patreon subscribers, and our monthly surplus goes to groups that are run by and or help marginalized people directly. As always, I'm Nelson with...
Me, I am authorized to use lethal force.
And I'm Mark.
And our guests this evening are...
David Johnson, he, him.
Nathan, he, him.
I just want everyone to know that's listening that Nathan doesn't have video on, and his voice is particularly deep, and he's literally everything I thought this was going to be. I'm not going to lie. So it's just, when I hear like this ominous, deep voice and no face, this is literally what I had pictured in my head. Not even the human form, just a disembodied voice. So thank you, Nathan. I really appreciate it.
Glad to serve.
All right, y'all. So how's everybody's day going? We haven't, we've been recording a bit, but this is our first Zoom session again, back with everyone with a working microphone. Thank God, Tyler. But yeah, how's everybody doing?
Good. All the time.
Fuck yeah. Tyler?
How are you, Nelson? You look extra red today.
I am extra red because I'm extra the shade of marinara sauce today because my package said it was delivered and it's not here. And then the fans proved once again that I hate them and why I hate them.
What package? What package? Were you getting pipe bombs to the U.S. mail?
Whoa, first off, you need to calm down there with what the fuck you say over the internet, okay? Don't be a boomer, all right? Don't be like those January 6 people that are like, oh, be careful what you post on the internet, and then it's like running around the fuck Capitol live streaming them committing multiple felonies.
Yeah, don't be like Ted Kaczynski's brother, okay? Don't be that guy.
Yeah, don't be the loser Kaczynski, okay?
Yeah.
There you go. Mark, how are you doing today?
I'm all right. I don't want to work anymore.
I feel you.
So
you should get on. You should get on the that Reddit that anti-work subreddit. I swear to God, if any of us ever do get on Fox News, it should be Tyler. Yeah, Tyler should be the one that gets interviewed by Fox News.
Do they still do Red Eye?
Oh my God, could you imagine? Oh man. David, Nathan, how y'all doing?
Oh,
I feel you.
that's a lot of questions.
This is a safe place to vent about how you really feel. So go ahead.
Yeah, no one listens to this, so whatever you want to say.
Actually, we're not even a podcast anymore. We're basically just going to start streaming. The podcast is now a side project.
Pure CIA intel.
Oh man, there is this freaking pink lemonade Mountain Dew, and it is just coursing through my veins right now. It is delicious.
Okay.
Still waking up, but yeah, it's a shitty answer. Sorry, we've never podcasted before.
We've never really actually podcasted before.
This has just been a fever dream from hell. Oh man, David, how you doing?
Oh, getting better all the time. Thanks for asking. That's what I say every time anybody asks, because the real answer is just too long and too depressing all the time, and most people don't want to hear it. But we are on this podcast in part to vent about some of those things.
Hell yeah. I'm just glad there's another member of the Ball Brotherhood on here, so thank you very much.
Yeah. I also don't have a podcast, but to look at me, you wouldn't know that. I look like the sort of person who would. Like this platonic ideal right here.
There is still time. Once all of this is over.
There's still time. Oh man. All right, y'all. So let's just hop right into it. So I guess the first question is what is Queer Satanic? And is it memes or is there an actual temple? Like how do y'all present to the public, I guess, as an organization?
I mean, to be clear, we are not an organization in any way whatsoever. We are 4 people that are being sued by the Satanic Temple in federal court for coming up on 2 years now, I guess. So most of what we do is just post on the internet, on the Facey space and the Twitter and Tumblr and Reddit and all of those places. And yeah, we post a lot of satanic memes and queer memes and a lot of other people's memes because people like that. And then occasionally tell people about what the Satanic Temple is really doing, not just to us, but in general. But the name Queer Satanic is sort of meant to describe what we think Satanism should be, right? So like queerness and Satanism should both be a rejection of a kind of like binary thinking, right? Like a this or that, where you're trying to get people into essentialist categories about who they are so that you can then like rank them in a hierarchy of like this person's over that person. And queerness sort of attacks the idea that there is any hard boundary that you can define people as. You can't medicalize queerness. You can't purify queerness. People are just queer, and that's sort of how you look back at history. And then for Satanism, we don't believe in or worship a literal devil. I'm sorry to disappoint anybody who was expecting that. We don't.
Wait, what?
Yeah, I know.
What about the killing of chickens and goats? Does that happen?
We certainly don't do that. I'm sure there are a lot of goats that are killed in like factory farms, but I don't think those are satanic. I think they're just capitalist.
Do y'all at least listen to Slayer?
Right.
Nathan, do you?
Slayer, no. I like power metal more actually. So
So
like Vikings and swords and shit.
yes,
I can
like
fuck with that.
fucking Blind Guardian sometimes.
Iron Maiden. Yeah.
Iron Maiden does amazing concerts. So like, if I'm going to hell.
I'm just very upset that you guys aren't sacrificing white women for money like that. really pisses me off.
The only person here that actually murders animals is Tyler.
Allegedly.
In a video game.
In a video game.
I was a farmer. Let's give context to that. not something I like. Not something I no longer do.
Tyler's used to handling severed pig heads.
If I can sort of like expound on the answer a little bit, part of rejecting tyranny for us, being inflicted. So, confronting tyranny inflicted by having binaries imposed on us. In practice, that means confronting tyranny in a materialist lens, like specific, like with specificity. Like it's not just the church is bad because it wants you to believe in God and God isn't real. It also has to be, there are things about your relationship with your boss that your boss wants you to take on faith and at your expense. And here are ways you can fight back by say, talking with your coworkers and, talking about your wages together and stuff like that. It's not just, yay, abortion rights. It's also, here are abortion funds that need your help. It's, here are resources for inducing your own abortion at home if it comes down to it. Kind of like as like a way of we really like that the leftist meme, be gay, do crime, because part of rejecting tyranny in a sense that matters means knowing how much the concept of crime is just it's a social construct by people who have a vested interest in a certain kind of social order. The question isn't just what is to be done, but also what are you willing to do? Because as the catastrophes escalate, the ways of defending ourselves will be more increasingly criminalized as well. And, a way of, if we want a Satanism that really like interrogates these power dynamics, and the one, you have to be able to take these issues into account and how you're going to do it. Otherwise, we're just going to become a bunch of fucking like the new atheists from the 2000s, just painted black.
Oh God.
Yeah, like have y'all ever heard the term cultural Christian or cultural Christianity before?
Yes.
Okay, so I remember reading a couple of times Richard Dawkins described himself as a cultural Christian. So Richard Dawkins, the new atheist, the guy who's like, fuck Sky Daddy, fuck all this bullshit. He still says like, but I like Christmas carols. And he also really likes like the whole rest of the hierarchy that Christianity developed for society. And so he ends up being a transphobe because he just like lopped off the worshiping God part, but everything else about the hierarchy, he kind of likes and continues to support.
Yes.
And
that doesn't make any sense. That's like fucking doing all the bad shit and not expecting to go to fucking paradise. Like, it's like, I'm going to be an asshole my whole life and then just die.
Yeah. I mean, it's easy because you don't have to change much. Like, you feel like you just like radically rebelled against all society, but really you didn't change anything. You just I think another one of their quotes is the difference between me, an atheist, and you, a religious person, they would say, is I just go one God farther than you. But really, they're just describing Christianity. So like they agree with somebody like Mike Pence about all gods except for one. And that's the last one. And that's sort of the problem with New Atheism in a nutshell. They haven't really changed anything. They've kept everything about Christianity that is toxic and reactionary. They just got rid of the God part. And we think that's bad and should not be a thing that is done.
I can't speak for Mark and Tyler, but Tommy and I remember that movement very well. The whole Sam Harris,
the four horsemen of atheism. Yeah.
Well,
and then,
what was it? It was Christopher Hitchens, Sam Harris, Richard Dawkins, and who was the other one?
Stephen Fry, I think.
No, it was Dennis something.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. But
Dennis Hopper.
But I know Sam Harris is a huge racist, and Richard Dawkins is a fucking nut job now. Like he's I don't know what happened to him. I used to look up to him. Like he used to be like one of my favorite speakers, and he just turned to shit.
And then like Christopher Hitchens, you're like, man, what a cool guy. And it's like, hey, how come he's like such a misogynist, and he also like loves war against brown people so much? Because like their justification for Islamophobia was just that we hate all religions. But like that's not a really good frame for hating all religions when one of them in your country has all the power. And
that's like fucking Bill Maher.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. They didn't have any examination of like power dynamics at all.
Yeah. My whole thing with them like coming from a political science aspect, is that like they always, especially during the Bush years, just constantly went after Islam in the Middle East and the Muslim world. Like you had Christopher Hitchens like trying to say that Saddam was on the same level, if not worse, than Hitler.
Yeah.
And like I know people forget like how much Christopher Hitchens really backed the invasion of Iraq, like wholeheartedly. This like atheist neoconservative mindset, which is absolutely to me insane. And then like Sam Harris in one of his books called for like a preemptive
strike,
nuclear strike on Mecca. It was like, what the fuck?
Yep.
Yeah.
There's this really interesting like email back and forth with between Sam Harris and this like security systems analyst, where Harris is basically trying to argue in favor of like screening people at airports en masse just for like looking Muslim, basically. And you can see the security analyst just getting more and more frustrated with him, being like, this is not possible, like on the standards you want to use at the scale you want to use it. Like this is, you are just trying to like make your bigotry look like systematized and objective when it's just bigotry.
That whole cultural Christianity thing makes perfect sense from like their aspect, because it really is like actually hadn't heard that term before, but it makes sense because it seems like they're just a few steps away from like the Proud Boys when it comes to, like, they say like the West is the best. Like when I always would listen or like read Sam Harris and Hitchens and them, they would always talk about like, they would always say this stuff like dog whistles that like Western civilization is the best. But they would like tongue in cheek demonize Christianity, but they would always go after the Middle East and the Muslim world and Islam more than Christianity. And they really did uphold indirectly, if not sometimes directly, like the Judeo-Christian Western values without believing in God.
Yeah, and we would also push back on the idea of like Judeo-Christian values being a coherent concept anyway. Y'all may have already had this conversation that we weren't part of, but mainly like that conception is like Christianity trying to take hold of Judaism more so than there being like a continuity between the way that like Judaism approaches religion and the way that I guess most of the dominant conservative Christianity strains approach religion. I think I've heard so many like really angry atheists. And I understand that they are dealing with some stuff, but they are 14. They just learned the Bible is full of bullshit, and they go onto Reddit and they just go, man, all religious people just want you to read a book and listen to what some Iron Age goat herder said, and it's stupid. But like that is how you were taught in your, I don't know, Southern Baptist church, whereas like in Judaism, for the most part, it's a lot of arguing. Like I am not Jewish. I have an ex-partner who introduced me to just a lot of cool Jewish culture, and got to study some of the like just not the Hebrew Bible, but the commentary on it, and just the extreme amount of arguing that went on, and not taking things on faith, but really interrogating stuff was to me inspiring, because I didn't know that religion could be like that. I didn't know that you could basically say, we don't care what God says because the Torah is not in heaven, it's on earth. It's for us people to decide like what this means, because we're the ones that have to live with it. And that was just like, wow, that seems really inspiring in a certain way.
And they're not, evangelizing either.
Right.
They're not going down to Africa trying to convert as many people as they can.
Just the opposite, saying like, no, you can't. Like, I want to convert to Judaism. No, you can't. Sorry. Like, just like turning people away. That's a very different form of religiosity than we're used to. And especially I'm from West Texas. It is just all Southern Baptists and Methodists and such out there, and they're trying to convert everybody.
Absolutely.
Yeah, Christianity is fucking terrifying. I remember being a little kid, and like, if you question God, you're going to hell. And I can't control my mind at that fucking age. I'm like, what if God's not fucking real? Oh shit, I'm going to fucking hell.
I'm going to hell forever.
Yeah, you heard that? Oh no.
It's like I wouldn't have questioned God if you would have told me not to. Like, if you wouldn't have brought that up, I'd have been fucking gravy.
My dad's Mel Gibson Catholic, so I hear it all. He's insane. It's bad. It's gone off the deep end completely. I guess my next question is specifically about Queer Satanic. Like, how did y'all form? Like, how did y'all come together? It sounds like I mean this like because this is kind of how we happen, like a meme page that got out of hand. But like, how did y'all come about? How did y'all meet each other? I guess.
Yeah, I mean, we originally were in a local chapter of the Satanic Temple. I think Nathan, you were one of the founding members. Is that right?
Yes. Yeah, I helped found the Satanic Temple, the Washington, the Seattle chapter back then in 2014, I guess. And so I'd been there for a while, and a lot of like what I did was actually like recruiting people. Like, you know, it sounds worse in hindsight than it was, but like a lot of people coming in and being like, you know, I just moved to Seattle, or I am tired of the atheist organizations. I want to do something like meaningful to fight against religious tyranny, or like, you know, or someone who's like, who just moved here. They're like, I want like a community, that kind of thing. Like people coming in because they have like very like wholesome ideas of what like what religion and a religious community can be. And so they come to TST, and I kind of like am the one doing the elevator pitch and kind of sort of like screening them and seeing if they kind of get along with us.
Nathan actually did the interview for me, and I didn't feel pitched to. It was more like, hey, do you want to sacrifice goats? Because if so, you don't want to be here. It's like that was the screening process. Because there were occasionally people that come around. It's like, yeah, man, let's do some magic. Let's kill some animals. And it's just like, yeah, okay, we'll get back to you, maybe. I actually don't know how you dealt with those people, Nathan. But
I have this big black trench coat, and I just kind of like open up one side and I'm like, hey, kid, you want to buy a goat? And
Nice.
have I got a spot for you?
Yeah, so Nathan was one of the founding members of the Seattle chapter. And then one of the other people being sued came along a few years later for a different, not quite official group that was based in the South Sound, so south of Seattle, Olympia, Tacoma area. And eventually that got like absorbed into Seattle and became like a Washington state thing. So that member, Nathan, myself, and the last person being sued, we were part of the group and we did a lot of the work for it. So it's a volunteer organization. You require volunteers to do stuff. We were pretty good at doing stuff like social media and calendaring and all that. All that this was supposed to be was a memes page called Evergreen Memes for Queer Satanic Fiends. And I don't know if y'all are familiar with memes pages.
Oh, yeah.
Facebook, yeah. So there used to be a bunch like that. There's not as many, but that's all it was. And it's just you post funny memes about how isn't it wild that God says no butt sex, but there's prostitute, and you know like that's the kind of like level of humor that you do stuff to. But then you can also use memes like radicalize people like that. You can say things with humor that are more appropriate than if you said them as a paragraph. But in March of 2020, a bunch of us got kicked out of the Washington state chapter. And that was like right as the pandemic was hitting. The original issue is kind of complicated, but it involves about half a dozen people. So not just the ones that are being sued, but extra folks who were witness to a complaint that was made like officially against the chapter leadership over their handling of sexual harassment in the past, and then also just like their own abusiveness. And so you go through the official channels because they have control of the official channels. They can just ignore it. And what happened was that people that were CC'd on that email and just people that were dating people that were CC'd on that email got kicked out for no notice, no nothing, no appeal. And I think this is pretty shameful stuff. And the leadership then went to the remaining leadership, or to the remaining membership, and told them about what had happened, but just like lied about it because there was nobody there that could contradict them, they thought. And so that happens. And about a week later, I was still admin of the local chapter page. So I used the admin rights to talk about this and basically talk about what had actually happened. And also criticize the national leaders. So posting some news articles, some past statements from the owners, like standing up for literal neo-Nazi Augustus Sol Invictus, doing just like the things that they had done over the years and other people who criticized them had left. And after we did that, after I posted this stuff, the Satanic Temple, the national organization, then claimed in court that it owned Facebook pages, like not Facebook and not even page admins, just they owned it. And for almost 2 years, they have sued us, first on, I guess, accusations of defamation and slander. So like they say they're a free speech organization, but not when it comes to factual criticism of them and things they've said and done. And then just a whole bunch of spaghetti against the wall claims in terms of what they have accused us of, where the first time they accused of one thing, then it got dismissed. So they refiled and they came back with stuff that contradicted it in the first one. And anyway, it's a slap. It's a strategic lawsuit against public participation. That's what the whole game is.
David, what are you getting at about that spaghetti against the wall reference there? What are you getting at? You getting at people with a oh. You see, I got a vowel at the end of my last name. What are you talking about? Spaghetti against the wall. I feel you, man. That shit, from what I've read that y'all have sent me and what I've read online, especially with the abortion access stuff, reproductive health care, that is just wild. That like it's coming from like I just took a class on judicial politics last semester in the graduate level, and like reading the articles that y'all have sent me and then reading the other news articles for that organization to think that they had a snowball's chance in hell of somehow overturning red state abortion laws on freedom of religion as a satanic temple. I want to know who their drug dealer is, because they're getting really good stuff.
No, I mean, that's a pretty good question. But I, at this point, am not even sure how interested the top leaders are in winning anything. Like, to them, what is winning? Like, for people who don't know, whose only like exposure to the Satanic Temple is that they go and fight for religious rights and do great things in court. Most of them don't know the Satanic Temple has one victory to date, and that is getting Warner Brothers and Netflix to settle with them over a statue that they used in the Sabrina TV show. So the Chilling Adventures of Sabrina. TST sued them, said that's a violation of our intellectual property. We're a religion, but we own stuff. And I guess to avoid a costlier lawsuit, they just, Netflix settled. And so TST got a favorable settlement. But as far as we can tell, and we didn't know this to start out with, but after nearly 2 years and a hyperfixation looking into this, the only victory is that one. Everything else is a failure. But they keep getting money. So like what happens is they are very, very good at playing media structures. So have y'all heard the term dog bites man, man bites dog?
No, I haven't actually. No.
So like if you hear a story about a dog biting a man, that is not a news story because that happens all the time. Dogs bite people. But if a man bites a dog, that's weird. Therefore, you write something about it. Like just the supposed novelty of it is enough to get it to cover. So the Satanic Temple, what they say is, hey, we're Satanists, but we're the good guys. We're doing a good thing. And then what they do is just make a wild fucking claim. They proclaim something, they declare something, and then all of the news outlets that are kind of lazy and just want to cover something, they just take it at face value. So the Satanic Temple declares that fetal tissue laws, like burying them, goes against their religion. They're going to fight it. And local news covers it. And then all the right-wing news goes, Satanists are doing a thing. So it blows up. and everybody for a couple days shares it. All your liberal friends go, yeah, it's we're gonna have religious freedom from the Satanists. Hell, Satan, fuck yeah. But then like nothing happens because they can't actually do anything. But it doesn't matter because for like a week, it's all in the news. It's all on social media. People see it. They donate to it because they want to piss off their racist uncle or whatever. And never matters. The Satanic Temple doesn't accomplish anything. So all of these other lawsuits don't really have to be successful as long as they get attention. Because by the time they fail, nobody's paying attention anymore. And their members seem, for the most part, not to care.
Did they get that statue or whatever that they wanted up? It was in the Midwest somewhere. They wanted a statue put up in front of the courthouse or something?
So how that started was that in the end of 2013, Oklahoma was putting up a Ten Commandments statue, and they announced they were going to have a Baphomet statue. So the goat-headed hermaphroditic person like that, the Sabbatic goat. Yeah. You did the hand signal.
The Ten Commandments, right?
Yeah. And so the Satanic Temple said, we're going to put our statue up next to that for religious pluralism. And that never happened. The first thing was that some dude who was not mentally well did a kind of rad thing because he drove his car into the Ten Commandments and knocked it over. But then what actually stopped it was that a Baptist pastor named, I think, Dr. Bruce Prescott sued Oklahoma, represented by the ACLU, and the ACLU won that case. So the Satanic Temple did nothing. They were barely a footnote in that decision. They had no influence in the case, really. But TST then like says, hey, we did it, guys. And they did a similar thing in an ongoing case in Arkansas. But actually, that statue that was crowdfunded now sits in Salem, Massachusetts in their headquarters, and they charge people tickets to come see it. So they got it paid for, and now they charge people to come sit on it and take like Instagram photos.
Is that the same statue that had like the edit where they had the what's his name? The Arby's guy, the okay guy? It was some meme.
I don't even
the Notice Me Senpai, Notice Me video.
Oh wait, I think I know which one you're talking about. I'd have to see that video again. It's possible because this is kind of like the big like Baphomet statue that most people are familiar with these days because of the selfies that they can take at the headquarters. But yeah,
it's probably Detroit. Like they unveiled it in Detroit back in or so.
Yeah.
And that guy like cut himself into it. It's very funny. But the statue didn't end up going on any public grounds. It's on a private for-profit company's grounds.
Which works out better for them in the long run.
Sure does. Does.
Mark, you're a Zoomer. What the hell is Tyler talking about?
No, this was an art.
The glorious Italian stone guy, or what?
No, the Notice Me Senpai. Notice.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what he's like. I'm thrilled to see my what do you say? Something glorious Lord Baphomet and glorious Italian stone, and then
really fast talker, like
yeah, he's awesome.
Yeah. I love those videos. My favorite.
I have no idea. I have no idea what anyone's talking about.
You're a nerd, Nelson.
He's a guy. He's
nerd.
It's
got real things to do.
Onks the Fortuitous, I think is what his handle is.
Yeah, he's very good. Like he matches the lighting and everything for all those those videos. He's like local news videos he cuts himself into. And he's very good at like making it look like he's actually being interviewed by them.
It's old enough that I saw it on E-Bombs.
Yeah.
Damn,
dude.
I just aged 5 years.
Mark doesn't even know what that is.
Yeah.
Well, you don't know what we're talking about either, so
exactly. I know what E-Bombs is. Oh man,
I'm so old. I remember when E-Bombs World was feuding with YTMND.com. They weren't even called memes yet. They were called fads.
Back in my day,
we had fads. So what was that?
First forward emails was a go-to email.
So I guess real quick, I do want to backtrack a bit because as someone who doesn't know anything about Satanism, right? The first person that comes to mind is Anton LaVey, right? I think everybody has that image of that creepy looking dude in their mind, and like his kind of like branch of libertarianism.
Yeah.
Right. And so I guess like what is like the history of Satanism, I guess, in the U.S., and does like everything really descend from him? Like, how does this connect to the past, I guess, is the question.
Yeah. I mean, that's a great question. So like Satanism doesn't really exist historically. Like there are accusations that different people worship the devil, like in the Middle Ages and whatnot. I mean, this is basically just made up. The earliest kind of thing that you might call Satanism, although they didn't do it at the time, would be like John Milton. So when John Milton writes Paradise Lost, we don't know if he meant to or not, but Satan's kind of a cool dude in that epic poem. And you're kind of like, hell yeah, you root for Satan in Paradise Lost. And romantic Satanism is what that has been called. It's picked up through the English poet William Blake, like the idea of the Byronic hero, and then some decadent French poets who I have like read, I think, but don't remember anything about. But then it kind of like peters out. The last person to kind of write, hey, actually Satan is a really cool hero that you should support is Anatole France in like the early 20th century. But that kind of like dies out. And then
with Aleister Crowley, is that when he comes?
He's a little bit later.
Yeah, later.
And he's not Satanism exactly, although LaVey does like crib from him a lot. There was also in the 19th century a lot.
Mysticism.
What'd you say?
He was more like mysticism. Crowley was.
Yeah. He was a shitty dude, but also like pretty talented, just like coming up with something more or less out of nothing, as far as I understand. I'm not a Thelemite. I think that's the people that follow from him.
Yeah, the only thing I know about Crowley is that he helped with the OSS and MI5 or MI6 during World War II. He was big, like trying to cast spells on Hitler or something. I don't know. Yeah,
and didn't William B. Yeats like threw him down a flight of stairs for some reason? I don't remember the context, but it's like, okay, cool. So there's like literary Satanism, and then there's also political Satanism, which would be like anarchists and socialists. So I think the earliest dude is Felix Pignal. He wrote in 1854 this thing called A Philosophy of Defiance, and he said, Satan in his revolt is my father. So he's like picking up Satan as a figure that you look toward as an inspirational, like rebellious figure. And then I have not read these people. I've just read some excerpts, Proudhon, Bakunin, and a couple other people. And essentially what they're saying is, if the authorities justify all of the poverty and the landlords and the bankers and the soldiers and the kings by saying God wants it this way, like these people are blessed by God, then these socialists and anarchists, what they do is say, I'll take the devil's side. Like Huck Finn, when he decides to not like root for slavery, he says, well, then I'll go to hell. So it's like saying, if you are justifying all of the inequalities in the world by saying that it is good and right and proper, then we're going to say we're on the side of hell and opposing these things. But that also kind of dies out. And you're right that in the United States, it really starts with Anton LaVey. And Anton LaVey, in the mid-60s or so, he reaches back into the 19th century to pull back some political philosophy. But unfortunately, our guy does not pick up anarchists. Our guy picks up Might is Right, which, for those who don't know, is a proto-fascist book by a guy named Ragnar Redbeard. Real name is Arthur Desmond. It is grotesquely anti-Semitic. It is grotesquely racist. It is grotesquely misogynistic. And I don't just mean by like our standards. I mean like even going, yeah, there was a lot of social Darwinism in the late 19th century. It is real bad for like that time. Mm-hmm. And for some reason, our guy Anton LaVey looked at that and said, this is a really cool foundation for religion. And when he wrote the Satanic Bible, he took like whole passages out of Might is Right. But to what little credit we can give Anton LaVey, he did excise the overtly racist stuff. Like he didn't say all of the like slurs, and he didn't write about women as being like 3/4 womb and all of this stuff. But he did take a lot of the like underlying logic and apply that to what he was doing, because that guy Ragnar Redbeard, he was so anti-Semitic that he hated Christianity for being too Jewish. His problem with Christianity was that it had too much of a Jewish influence.
Wow.
Yeah. So all of a sudden, like smash God in the face and whatnot, it's really coming from a place where that guy just like hated Jews that much. And again, LaVey like sands off the rough edges of it. But yeah, you said it's kind of a right libertarian, Ayn Randian objectivist thing.
Yeah, I wanted to bring up Ayn Rand because I think when 2012 really came out when like what was his face, the dude who ran with Mitt Romney, the former Speaker of the House, Paul Ryan, was like, my philosophies follow like Ayn Rand or whatever, and then like Anton LaVey was like, I got all my stuff from Ayn Rand as well. So it's just like, it seems like that right libertarian, like the Randian bullshit from all that crap seems to, from just the little bit that I've read and know, is that it really influenced him. Was this whole like right libertarian? It seems like, you know, it's almost like, you know, I don't want to say like decadence is okay, because it's just like do what you want, but it's that whole like libertarian, like extremely individualistic bullshit where it does, like, it's like watered down, like you said, social Darwinism. It is this, you know, it's me and fuck everyone else, and it really, I don't know, it's just wild to me that like that Ayn Rand somehow could fucking work her bullshit into Anton LaVey and Satanism. It's just really weird, but like that's kind of, I guess, what people from what I've been told and what I've seen, I guess people kind of saw that as like the foundation, I guess, of modern Satanism, where it was like, you know, if you want to do something, do it, and it doesn't matter what it is, as long as it's for you. Like if you want to do drugs, do drugs. If you want to have,
you know, that's so. I should point out, so a couple of things in LaVey's favor. I won't defend him often.
Okay.
One of the things that he did say is that you shouldn't hurt animals. One of the things he did say is you shouldn't hurt children. But our guy, Anton LaVey, hated drugs. In fact, he said that people should not smoke weed because, and this is, I believe, still an active quote by the Church of Satan, Satanism is a law and order philosophy.
This is brought to you by Anti-Weed Gang.
Yes.
Gang.
So Anton LaVey, ahead of the game, gotta abolish weed. No, for real. Like
he's literally different than like every other libertarian probably out there.
Yeah. I mean, the one of the few things you can say that is good about Anton LaVey is that he was a weird motherfucker. Like, I think after one of y'all's podcasts, we had somebody on and you were making fun of white dudes for not washing their asses. And then shortly after that, I came upon a quote where Anton LaVey said, "Bathing is against my religion." Bathing is against my religion.
Well, judging by his last name, he is French, so.
Oh, he made it up. His real name was Howard Levy. What's his real name?
Please be Italian.
Motherfucker.
I know.
Damn it! I lost that other reason I hate the French people.
Oh man.
But he also has that whole passage in the Satanic Witch about how you can tell what people are like by like what kind of salad dressing they like too. It's freaking bonkers. Let me see if I can like pull up.
Wait, what? Was he doing clickbait before clickbait?
Okay, he was. Yeah.
Anton LaVey was very into smells. The bathing thing is actually very closely related to Anton LaVey's like love of smells. As he goes on in his career after the 1960s, he also writes about why like he wishes more women like peed their underpants, and he like regrets the fact that they don't. Like it comes up like multiple times. It's not as an offhand mention. He writes like numerous essays that touch on this. Yeah. You're making
I don't want to kink shame here, but what the fuck?
Dude, starting a religion is wild. You can just get people to fucking believe anything.
Yeah,
he would have loved modern day Philly.
Right, and so
I was saying he would have loved modern day Philly. Like it just reeks of piss.
Okay, this is okay. I found the excerpt. I've had this saved in one of my memes folders forever. So yeah, from the Satanic Witch. The taste of sweet dressing, with its minty tomato, spicy taste, plus the fact that it is most often used when seafood is incorporated, resembles the odors of a woman's sexual parts and is therefore agreeable to the archetypical male. Conversely, the aroma and taste of the strong, cheesy Roqueforts, blue cheese, oil and vinegar, etc., is similar to the male's scrotal odor and reminiscent of a locker full of well-worn jockstraps. This is naturally subliminally appealing to predominantly heterosexual females, passive males, and males with homophile tendencies.
Yeah, so
that's gotta be the intro.
This tastes like dick cheese.
This is page 106 into freaking, I think it's the Satanic Witch or something.
That's the 1970s. He gets weirder. Like towards the end of his life, in like the 90s, he gets weirder.
What is and so smelling dicks all day? Like, what is he doing?
He did not consider himself to be gay. As far as I know, he was like 100% straight, bro.
Yeah, bro.
Yeah, but I mean, gay or straight, you're just smelling dicks all day?
Sometimes you just want to smell some dicks.
He loves
to smell some dicks.
He loves smelling himself too, apparently.
Yeah, I was gonna bring this up earlier, but it seemed like he kind of started this at first to just kind of get like an unlimited amount of pussy. From all the pictures I've seen of him in like the early 60s, there's always some chick with the tits out. And I was like, I mean, that's kind of a power move, I guess.
Yeah, he started off as like a joke, as far as we can tell. Like, I mean, he claimed to have a history in like carnivals and stuff. And he also like grasped pretty early on that when you say like, you are a satanic church, it doesn't matter what else you say after that. People just assume that you have like connection to dark powers, right? Like conservative Christians believe the devil is real and therefore believe that like you are channeling him or whatever. So he lets all of those conservative Christians and like the panics do all the work for him of, you know, promoting him. But Anton LaVey wasn't just kind of a like right libertarian with some like kooky ideas. He also was like a deep proponent of like the police state. Like he wanted the police to push back on all social uprisings in the 1960s and 70s, so that there could be greater social stratification, elites could rise to the top. He was kind of friends with that one Nazi occultist guy, James Maytol. It's like the American National Party or something.
From George Lincoln, like Lincoln Rockwell, from like that organization?
I don't think that guy. So I mean, I think George Lincoln Rockwell wasn't really into like the occultism stuff.
I think he was already dead by then too. Didn't he? He got assassinated like in the 50s, I think.
Yeah. So this guy dies in like 1970 or 71. But LaVey was like kind of friendly with him. I don't know if they were like actually friendly, but they communicated. And then more so into like the 1980s is when LaVey really starts like buddying up to white nationalists and fascists. So he is colluding with dudes like James Mason. In fact, there was a magazine that the Church of Satan wrote for a while called Black Flame, I think. And the current like head of the Church of Satan, Peter Gilmore, wrote like a pretty glowing review of James Mason's Siege. So just like one of those like white nationalist books. They was like, oh, this is great. This is a great book. And I think like James Mason and his like maybe underage girlfriend at the time, question mark, went to a party with Peter Gilmore and I think Peggy Nadramia is Peter Gilmore's spouse. Anyway, like they were like not just people who knew each other across the world. Anton LaVey like wrote I think he signed a Satanic Bible for James Mason, like complimenting him. LaVey worked with Boyd. What was his first name?
Boyd Rice.
Boyd Rice, yeah.
The fucking industrial music Nazi.
Yeah.
That fucking did all the work with Death in June. The fucking piece of shit.
All you had to say was that book Siege. Like I know exactly what you're talking about. Like that shit's fucking Nazi bullshit.
And then I don't know if y'all have ever heard of Nick Bougas before, but you have definitely seen his cartoons as A. Wyatt Man, because all of those like really grotesque anti-black, anti-Jewish caricatures that you've seen of like the Jewish guy rubbing his hands together, like really grotesque. Like that's that guy. That guy directed Anton LaVey in a movie called I think Speak of the Devil or something like that. And there's even like a offcut where Anton LaVey just like does all the slurs. And they didn't put it into the movie, but they filmed it anyway.
Good Lord.
So yeah, and then LaVey himself didn't just buddy up to those guys. He was also super into eugenics. He was also super into like breeding the best people. Like he wanted to have like communes with like harems because he believes there was a Satanist gene. Yeah, not a nice guy. Not everything he did was terrible, but enough he did was pretty terrible.
Yeah.
Most LaVeyan Satanists today don't go for all that stuff. Like, to be clear, if you meet a LaVeyan Satanist, they almost certainly don't believe this stuff. But at the same time, they'll still tell you have to read the Satanic Bible. They'll just say all the rest of it's worthless. We would say the Satanic Bible itself is also kind of shit, and you should reject all of it. Like
the tenets were pretty metal, but that's about it.
The tenets?
Yeah, I haven't read it since I was like 14. I just remember reading it when I was 14. It was like, oh, that's fucking metal as fuck.
14 is the perfect age. Yeah, I mean, it really is.
I mean, from what you said, it kind of covers a lot of the other questions I had. But like, I guess how does the two things that come glaring to mind is it didn't really happen a lot in America, but like another thing when you think of like Satanism, you think of like black metal, and you think of like that Nazi influence, like church burnings, especially in like Scandinavian countries.
Well, they're in fucking Washington, and Washington has a really big white supremacist black metal scene.
Can you guys talk about that, like how like music is like used to like spread this message of Nazism and Satanism? Like, can you guys talk about that a bit?
I mean, I've talked a ton. I bet Nathan probably knows more about this than I do. But also, Sister Sunshine. Also,
I don't have like any notes on that per se, or at least prepared. Yeah.
No, it's all good. I guess the other thing that came to mind was like the everyone knows about the Satanic Panic. I guess like I'm learning a lot actually from just listening to y'all talk, but it just seems like I guess some misconceptions. Like I didn't know that like the Church of Satan and then the Satanic Temple are like two different things. I thought they were like all the same thing. No. So like I guess when does this split happen and why? I guess it goes back into the history of it. Like why does this? Okay. Why is it not just one church? Like what was the schism? Like Tom and I went to Catholic school. We all taught about like the Great Schism between the Roman Catholic Church and the Orthodox Church. Like, and then like you had the Protestant Reformation. So like what's the Satanic version in America?
Nathan, do you mind talking a little bit about the Satanic Panic and like what it was versus what was actually going on in Satanism?
Yeah, it was. I'm thinking of there's this one Behind the Bastards episode about the Satanic Panic that's pretty good. It is a lot of like kind of panic about Christ.
It was not about Christ.
No, it was definitely not. It's like so much of the stuff is just kind of like goes out of my out of my head. But it was a lot of panic about ritual, like the ritual abuse of children, basically. Yeah. And damn it. No, so sorry. I'm.
It's cool, disembodied voice known as Nathan. It's fine. I feel you.
Yeah, I think the important thing is that a lot of children have been abused in U.S. history, and that happened in the 70s, and happened in the 80s, and happens now. And there was a time when a big thing in psychology was recovered memories, and there were psychiatrists that would basically counsel children, but in doing so, they were almost coaching them towards an answer. So what we discovered was that when they were saying like, are you sure that such and such didn't hurt you? Or, like they basically were like leading them to say something. Yeah. And I mean, a lot of these kids may have actually been abused, but do you want to hear that it's your uncle that did it, or that it's the daycare and they worship Satan and we should arrest them? And that happens fairly frequently, even though I don't think any of these people were Satanists. Like Satanists typically are not in positions of authority over other people. Like that's just not the way it works. Like as much as the Church of Satan says we're elite and whatnot, when you meet actual Satanists, like a lot of them are cool dudes, but like they're not like masters of industry, or they're not like part of a giant satanic cabal, right? That's just standard anti-Semitism. But like that conspiracy that exists, yeah, the Illuminati, that whole thing, like that's not real. Like Satanists suck for some reasons. That's just like any subculture, but they're not like a powerful shadowy influence. And that panic permeated so much of the 80s and 90s. Like I remember going to church in the 90s, and there was like, oh, we're gonna like drink a cat's blood, and like the churches would put on plays where like teenagers would be doing that kind of stuff. And, like that's completely fake. Like as far as I know, that never happened. Like there is no real thing they can point to. And like one of the closest things is I think so you've seen True Detective, the first season?
Yeah. Oh yes, Matthew McConaughey, that speech in the beginning.
all right.
Goddamn.
Yeah. So that's kind of based on a true thing, except that the true thing is that there was some church that was kind of a cult and seems to have convinced some dude that he was like a Satanist that was abusing people, because he confessed to a bunch of stuff, and then they tried to find evidence of it and they couldn't. And what True Detective did was kind of like go with the idea that there actually was this giant, Southern conspiracy in the swamps of Louisiana. But like that's not real. A lot of the things that people said you should fear Satanists for was just pure invention. And it was just projection, because like the actual conspiracy abusing children was the fucking Catholic Church.
Yeah.
It was like your local Southern Baptist church with the youth pastors, or the athletics trainers. Like those are the dudes that had authority and were like trusted and were hurting people and getting away with it, or family members, not that dude who likes industrial music and dresses in all black. Like that's not what was going on.
So the Satanic Panic was kind of like a spiritual successor to the Red Scare.
Yeah, I mean,
a scapegoat.
Yeah, and it also like lets people be lean into anti-Semitic tropes without like admitting it. Like if you like look at QAnon, like all the stuff about like we're drinking adrenochrome and all that stuff, it's just like there is this secret group of those people in control of everything.
The blood libel.
Yeah, exactly. That's what that is.
Just
also,
to push people back towards like the nuclear family, like Reagan era idea of how America should be.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
I think real quick, just to touch on some stuff. I think it seemed like the panic. Not trying to come back, but did you all see that documentary that they tried to do about like David Berkowitz, Son of Sam, and like the one author like tried to link him to like satanic groups in New York, and it was a cabal of people, and he was actually just a part of satanic rituals, and he was going around doing stuff with other people. Like it wasn't just Son of Sam doing his thing. I talk to dogs. It was like they like the whole documentary was like trying to say that he was basically part of the satanic group and they were doing rituals and whatnot, etc. So like it seems like it's Satanism.
Part of like the Manson.
You remember which one that was? Or which one?
Oh man,
there was one on Netflix. I can't think of what it is, but
I'll look it up real quick. Hold on.
But yeah, they basically they were trying to tie Son of Sam to what was going on in California with Charles Manson.
It's the Sons of Sam, A Descent into Darkness.
Did they talk about white nationalism in that at all?
Yeah, because like Charles Manson's whole base was a race war.
Yeah.
Like
exactly. Those damn hippies.
Right. Yeah. I think I watched. It was some like Netflix show about serial killers supposedly, but like their big get was Charles Manson. And, like they never brought up the whole like he was a racist who wanted to start a fucking race war. Like that seems like more important to what was going on there than his psychology. But people want to like think, oh, if we get the crazy people fixed, we'll solve it, as opposed to can we stop the white supremacy? Like that seems to be anyway.
So I guess the second part of that question is like when did the Satanic Temple like break from the Church of Satan, or like is it two separate things that kind of timeline different, or like how does this come about?
Yeah, so Anton LaVey dies in like 1997, I think, and then he dies pretty broke, I think, because his last wife like his last ex-wife got a bunch of stuff, like including the house he lived in. So he didn't have much. And then LaVey's children and wife and his current partner all kind of like fought over the estate. And that was like the end of them really being an active force in the world. Since then, I think Peter Gilmore has just kind of like steered the ship steady. They just take in the book sales and I think it's a $250 membership fee. Like you can pay them $250 once, you're a lifetime Church of Satan member. So they weren't really doing anything, which sort of left a void for someone else to come in. And the Satanic Temple is I'm still not entirely sure what it is. I'll say that. But I know that the first like public existence of it is March 2012, because that's when they registered the websites. And it doesn't appear like out in the public beyond that until January 2013. And when they do that, they're trying to convince people in Tallahassee, Florida, that they are a theistic Satanist group. That is, they are people who worship a literal Satan. And
like Luciferianism, or
yeah, I mean Luciferianism, like its whole other thing.
That's its own bag of cats. Yeah, we know a couple of Luciferians as well, and they also don't worship a literal Satan. They're actually
really,
yeah. There are people who worship a literal Satan who exist. There are actual Satanists. Some of them are Nazis. Some of them are cool dudes. It's the like fascist part that's always the problem, not the Satanist part. But the original version of the Satanic Temple was them pretending to be a theistic Satanist group. And it seems to have been supposed to be a prank documentary. So it starts out, and the two owners of the Satanic Temple are Kevin Soling and Doug Masico. So Doug Masico, you've probably heard his stage name, let's call it that, Lucian Greaves.
Yes.
So we'll keep calling him Lucian Greaves just for the sake of clarity. But he's also in the past gone by pseudonyms like Doug Mesner, a couple of other like sock puppets. But most of the time in public now.
Wait. Let's go back to the Doug Mesner.
Mesner, yeah.
Yeah.
It sounds a lot like the white supremacist guy, Kurt Metzger, wasn't it?
Tom Metzger.
Tom Metzger, yeah.
Funny you should mention him.
that will come up, believe it or not. I think that's coincidental. Like, as far as I know, it's not a reference to him. Like, it could be, but I haven't found any evidence that it is. I mean, a lot of other stuff is references. Like Lucian Greaves seems to be a reference to a discredited psychologist named George B. Greaves, I think. So our guy, Doug Masico, likes to like name things to needle people. That seems to be one of them. The other guy, Kevin Soling, he has like his own Wikipedia page and stuff, but everything he does under the Satanic Temple, he does as Malcolm Jerry, which is just an invented name. Like there is no Malcolm Jerry. It is just Kevin Soling when he doesn't want to like associate himself with this company that he owns. But back in the day, he owned a company called Spectacle Films Incorporated, and he, a different guy named David Guinan and Doug Masico set out together to do this prank documentary, and they wanted to fool people. And it started off kind of bad. Has anybody here actually seen Hail Satan, the Penny Lane film?
No, but I'll probably watch it now.
Yeah.
Tommy, have you seen it? It sounds like a Tommy movie.
Definitely not a Tommy movie. A24.
No, Tommy's only watched A24.
Yeah, did A24 produce it? If A24 didn't produce it, Tommy didn't watch it.
Yeah, it's Penny Lane, and this scene shows up there because TST filmed it themselves. So there wasn't actually a Satanic Temple yet. They just invented it for this stunt, and it bombed because they got caught advertising they needed extras in their film. So before it really got off the ground, they had a website where they kept changing like when they were founded. I think first it was 2006, and they updated to like 2009, 2012. So it's like changing all the time, and it bombs. Like they get recognized as just being a stunt, where it's just using actors and stuff, and they kind of like close up shop and retool until they relaunch in June. And that's when the Satanic Temple really like actually kind of starts making news and such again. And has everybody here seen the Shane Bugbee Midas Rights podcast stuff? Okay. So when they relaunch in 2013, in June, they bring back in a couple of people, but one of them is Lucian Greaves' old friend, Shane Bugbee, who had been a member of the Church of Satan, but at that time was kind of like on bad terms with them. So he was fussing with the Church of Satan, and he was looking for a way to kind of get back at them, and launching this like prank group was one way to do that. And he gave them some advice. He got them in contact with like Vice News and stuff. So he got like some press coverage. And that's really like helped TST to get rolling and like be accepted as a legitimate organization. Everybody kind of forgot about the theistic thing and the prank before. And they just like treated them as just like an actual organization with actual members, even though at that point they still didn't have them.
It's kind of a running theme where, yeah, TST is basically whatever it is that they say they are at the moment, basically, and everything before that kind of just gets memory hold.
Yeah.
So, like, we know that, like, the TST is a little fucked up right now. So when are we going to get a queer satanic Bible?
Are you going to write one? Y'all going to write a new one?
Probably not. If this lawsuit ends favorably, I will probably like leave the internet for like 6 months just to like heal my brain rot. And that would probably be my first step.
We'll go outside and touch grass. Yeah.
Yeah. I will lay in the grass.
But you, like, from what I've heard from you guys and like everything that I've seen in the past, that it's kind of left like an unfavorable taste of the Satanic Temple, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Like, y'all seem to have like the best going on out of all this like subset group.
Yeah. I mean, I think we have cool ideas. I think we have a political ideology that is better and healthier than a lot of these other things.
You all have the best take so far.
Yeah.
The hottest of takes, the best of takes.
Like the imagery all around of like the Satanic Temple and Satanism and all that is cool as fuck. But when it comes to like political takes and like leftist ideology, like I've taken the bait on y'all's end. Like it's fucking, it's cool as shit.
We think it's important to marry Satanism with anti-fascism, like explicit anti-fascism, explicit anti-racism. Because if you don't do that, all of this history we've talked about should be kind of taken for granted. Like, if you all haven't noticed, there's not a ton of black people who are Satanists, and part of that's because like Satanism has spent like 60 fucking years like cozying up to neo-Nazis. So like not a surprise that like it's going to be an overwhelmingly white organization or white like movement. And if you, as someone who is a Satanist, are not pushing back against that, you're just kind of like continuing it by default. So
yeah, I mean, you might as well be in like an Odinist or fucking some other fascist ideology.
Yeah. And like the Church of Satan called itself like a law and order religion, but like TST does too, by it, like as evidenced by its like theory of change of, you know, trying to go through like the court system or like respectable avenues of change. Like there's not really a whole lot like local chapters, local like TST members and stuff are usually pretty cool. They might do like charity drives and like small time fundraisers and stuff, but like at the national level, a lot of that stuff only really functions as like advertising or fundraising for that organization. I don't remember the last time they've ever pointed to like, say, like an abortion fund. Like they talk a big game about, we want to protect abortion rights. We're going to raise money for our, our reproductive rights campaign, but don't ask us what happens to it or where it goes. And, like we mentioned before, like a lot of the like abortion funds and the clinic workers and stuff that we've talked to, like they don't have anything good to say about TST.
Yeah.
They don't see, like, they don't get help from the national organization. They are like, they talk to each other and warn each other, hey, don't let yourself get accidentally roped into one of TST's publicity stunts, because that is the extent to which TST is interested in us. Like they'll counter protest outside of a Planned Parenthood, but when like will they train to be escorts, or will they signal boost us afterward? Like no, they won't. after like Texas SB8 comes out, there is, TST raises what, $200,000-$300,000, like, but we don't know. Yeah. But we don't know where that goes. Like, there's, the Satanic Temple is multiple. It is, it's the nonprofit religious organization, the Satanic Temple Inc., but it is also at least one other for-profit corporation, the United Federation of Churches, that claims to do business as the Satanic Temple. And, this is a for-profit and a nonprofit pretending to be each other, basically. And as they're owned by the same people, they are at the same location physically, like the same address, and who knows how much money is being shuffled between them.
Yeah, they share the same website. If you go to thesatanictemple.com, sometimes when you buy a t-shirt, it goes to the for-profit United Federation of Churches, LLC. And that general fund is just something that that Lucian Greaves and Kevin Solling can dip into as needed. They have said, at least Lucian Greaves has said in court deposition that, yeah, I mean, just like when he needs help, like covering rent or just like with expenses, he doesn't have a salary. He just reaches into the general fund.
He dips into it and stays afloat.
Stays afloat.
By his own words. And I'm like, wow, I hope the IRS is watching this, because this is specifically
that's a huge thing with anyone that has like nonprofit work and like partners it with a for-profit thing. That's a massive thing the IRS goes after.
So it gets worse, because thesatanictemple.com, when you buy a t-shirt, when you buy a membership certificate, that goes to their for-profit. But if you give a donation to some of the website, it says this is a tax-deductible 501c3, because that is going to the Satanic Temple Incorporated. The Satanic Temple Incorporated is a nonprofit church, but, and I know this gets like convoluted, and I think it's intentional, they registered that with the IRS as the Satanic Temple, full stop. So a lot of places like Amazon, they're like Amazon Smiles or Charity Navigator, it just says the Satanic Temple, which is the exact same thing as the United Federation of Churches is doing business as. So unless you are someone who has devoted many more months than I would have cared to this, it's very tough to see like where money is going, which organization is doing what. And they now say, as Nathan was alluding to, officially they are a constellation of affiliate entities. Because there's also other nonprofits and other for-profits that we haven't talked about here, but that would just be too complicated. And we know they're sharing money back and forth. We just don't know how much, because that part's not public.
They're a religion made of corporation, like literally 3 corporations in a trench coat, but like more than 3 of them.
Like religious 501c3s, church 501c3s are just a fucking scam to begin with.
Yeah.
Wow. All right, y'all. Well, we're getting. I real quick. We're getting pretty close to that hour and 15 hour and a half mark. But like, I guess one of the last things I want to ask. So we talked about TST a lot. We talked about Satanism, but like, if y'all want to talk more, and we'd love to hear more about y'all, I guess as a meme page and a quasi a group collective, whatever y'all want to say. Like in your ideology, like what's some like more positive aspects of like y'all, because from what Tyler said, from what y'all have to say, y'all sound great. So I guess like
don't take this the wrong way, but y'all seem like the chillest anarchists I've ever fucking met.
Yeah,
that's coming from a fucking tanky.
I mean, if you like us, when you meet the Buddha, kill the Buddha. So you've met us, now you can reject that idea. And what we have told other people is that like we don't have the bandwidth to like be followed. Like, I mean, you can follow us like on Facebook and Twitter and stuff like that's cool, but like don't like follow us. Don't do what we say because we said it. If you're looking for a like chill, good anti-fascist organization that's satanic and in your area, you should make that. You should make your own affinity group and build that, and not like try to fit yourself into a hierarchy that, I mean, like I think I'm a cool dude, but maybe I'm not a cool dude. And maybe if I had a bunch of power for people, I wouldn't be. And so a better thing to do is to create like structures where everybody's accountable to everybody else. Like that's what I would suggest to people. If you like what we do and you like the philosophy that we have, you should build that into your own community, and not like look to us for anything but cool memes and theory sometimes, and just look to us only for like education, but not like telling you how to do things or what to do. Because a much better way to approach the world is find like peers in your community and work with them to do the things you want to do. Also, we're exhausted. Like I can't do it.
We're not an organization in really any sense. It's literally just like a couple of us, and as you can see, like David does like 99% of the work. I'm just the eye candy, as you can see from my camera.
The disembodied voice.
Yes.
Known as David.
Yeah.
He's actual Satan. We have actual Satan on the podcast.
Satan is on the podcast, y'all.
Yes, you found it. It's Nathan is just the off rhyme for Satan. Hail Nathan. Pretty much is, we want to tell people like, when they're like, they send us messages like, oh, we want to join. It's like, make your own Satanism. Basically, it is not something that has to be like, Church of Satan and TST are like the major players in America, but they're not the only ones. Like there are small covens all over the freaking country, all over the world even. Make your own Satanism. Figure out what that means to you. And honestly, like run the fuck away from TST. Like stay, like it's like I have this like a whole fucking rant prepared, but like I just, it cannot be overstated like how disposable that people in TST are to the larger organization.
Go the fuck off, King.
Do it. Hail Nathan.
So, let me just read this because it's the response I had to the Nelson's question. What's the deal with the Satanic Temple? What can you tell them? The temple has like a whole ass business model that revolves around making these simple, punchy statements about their plans with as little detail, little as follow-up as possible. It's like that scene in The Office where Michael Scott goes into a room and says, "I declare bankruptcy," and thinks that that's the equivalent of actually declaring bankruptcy, only there's like a lot more lying about things, you can verify in the public record. Those abortion exemptions they claim to have don't actually exist, but they were willing to, like raise a lot of money on the idea that they are, because people really want to believe that there's a tidy way of beating the Christian right at their own game. The other side of that coin is, for that sort of marketing ploy to stay effective, they stay pretty tight-lipped around the rest of the time around most of the rest of the issues. But the thing is, you've got this whole culture of silence which cannot handle criticism of TST. Like they don't understand what defamation or slander is, except stuff that we don't like, stuff that is, inconvenient for us to have to admit about our own, about their own history or the way that they run things, basically. And especially from people who used to be inside the temple, like us, or from other people.
Was that Jehovah's Witnesses thing about like you shun people?
So I wanted to compare, like we were talking way back at the beginning about the way that about all the members that were kicked out of TST Washington just for being witnesses to an ethics complaint, and it's like compare this to the way that Jehovah's Witnesses shun their members for the perception of doing something wrong. Here you have people being shunned just for being in the area of someone else doing something wrong.
We're not saying they're a cult. We're not saying they're a cult. But that's not a healthy organization thing.
I'll say it. They're a cult.
All right. Your words, not ours. So
I'm gonna point the lawsuits at Tyler.
Yeah.
No, that's not my name. My name's Jason. Jason Statham.
So you have the slap suit, but like also we were featured in a Newsweek article a couple of months ago, and I want to like demonstrate what this like culture of silence looks like in practice, according to another ex-member in Florida. Salome Demure, a pseudonym for a former member based in Pensacola, Florida, said she got sidelined after asking Greaves why he was going to sue Twitter like it was a personal vendetta, but then using TST money to do so. Once Salome became known as a dissenter, she said, members of TST's National Council threatened to out her to the Marine Corps, her employer, despite the Corps already being aware of her religious activities. She tells Newsweek in an email, after leaving, it was basically Scientology light. people were told not to talk to us. Members were trying to break up my relationship with my boyfriend. Several people were legally threatened. I know quite a few people who have refused to speak out at all before because they fear legal action. A few of us have been in mental health treatment since. I want to say, like, this isn't unique at all. Like, since getting kicked out of TST, we have been able to catch up and meet like ex-members of TST all over the country. Like, people come in thinking that they found a way to make religion a force for good again, but they wind up being treated as disposable the same way that we are in the rest of capitalist society. Like, here in Seattle, I can think of at least 3 other people who've had to work through their experiences in therapy. I'm going to do that too as soon as this lawsuit comes out and I've got some disposable income again. Some of us have to deal with suicidal thoughts. We've talked to ex-members around the country from California, Texas, New York. This keeps repeating. This is how the sausage is made. This is what happens to make, this is what goes into making TST's public statements more effective, basically. And this culture of silence, is built into their code of conduct as well. And there's like apologists are going to be like, well, this is just a normal way of doing stuff, but like there's a clause about how members are banned from talking about their experiences as TST members publicly unless they're explicitly authorized.
They can't do an AMA. They cannot do a Reddit AMA without getting kicked out. They also can't associate with competitor organizations. Yeah, competitor organizations, that is very loosely defined.
Yeah, what would be a competitor organization?
No
fucking religion.
The Catholic Church.
Well, they accused us of forming the Satanic Temple 2 Electric Boogaloo. Like, that is in legal court fucking documents, brother. And
Motherfucker.
And it's like, how do you listen to this and think like this is a normal thing for a religion to be concerned about? Like,
and then people find out about it and they say, oh, you fucked around, you found out. Like, yeah, this is America. If you piss off rich people, they can ruin your life. As Nathan, I think, like compared it to that saying, you might be able to beat the charge, but you can't beat you can beat the rap, but you can't beat the ride. Right? Even if we win this, like it's cost $80,000 so far.
And like, you guys have a GoFundMe or something for your legal?
We sure fucking do.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
There's a link for that.
Yeah, obviously, like the last question really is where can people find you online? So
we have a link tree that has it all. So that is
send me that link tree. I'll plug it in the show notes.
Yeah, linktr.ee/queer satanic. We are queer satanic nearly everywhere, and like Nathan was saying, this is not particular to us. What the Satanic Temple has done to us, they have threatened to do to other people. Like we found out that they sent legal letters to people for violating non-disparagement agreements against a fucking religion that stands up for literal fucking Nazis on free speech grounds, right? So they are not nice people. They're not great people. And to be honest, at this point, having to take out a $10,000 loan just to keep paying lawyers, had I known what I know now, maybe I wouldn't have actually done the stand-up thing. But the truth of the matter is that if they weren't coming after us, they'd be coming out after somebody else. So anything y'all can do to help us keep fighting this and take it to the end, we would really, really appreciate.
Anything to make life easier on a fellow comrade.
Roll damn tide.
Hail fucking Satan.
Hail Satan.
You now have the backing of the entire Southern left. Just so you know.
Tommy's gonna hold a streamathon to raise money for y'all's legal fund. That'd be dope.
Yes, I'm gonna sacrifice white women.
Nice.
Hey, we could play Among Us together. I'll get myself airlocked too.
Yes.
Just to save time.
We didn't even get to one of the owners trying to start a cargo cult. We didn't even get to the eugenic stuff and forcible sterilization. We didn't get to interviewing Tom Metzger. Right, so you brought that up, Tom Metzger. Yeah, Lucian Greaves interviewed Tom Metzger and tried to convince him that the best way to achieve population control was sterilizing people based on IQ rather than race.
Well, see, before we started this, my entire view on Satanism was so anti-Semite that it sided itself with fascists and neo-Nazis. You got Boyd Rice and then
and Lucian Greaves has
you might as well just be fucking Odinist.
And also back in 2018, a bunch of local organizations split away because Lucian Greaves' quote, and I believe I'm doing this from memory, it's just like the word anti-Semitic, it's not always bad. So he was saying that the Nazis ruined the word anti-Semitic, but sometimes it's okay. And then he explains why that might be so. But the it's just like was eugenics. Our boy used to love eugenics, and we didn't even get to that. That's with the Satanic Temple, there is always more, and it is always worse. I guarantee it.
Gotta save some fun stuff for Kai to take the part in.
We'll have a part 2 down the line.
Well,
Kai can come in and just start
since we're done
yelling at
taking on the vegans, now I guess we're taking on the Satanic Church.
I guess so.
This is our new No Evil Foods. I'm sure we'll see you guys back for a couple more episodes.
I'm gonna hit Vice magazine again.
Yeah. Oh my God.
Vice.
Yes. Get back in Vice.
Do you know how great it was once I was featured in Vice and also featured for dessert in the Washington Post same month?
What?
Yeah, I'm in the Washington Post and Vice.
You're famous, man. Not as famous as the guy behind you, but you're definitely famous.
You can only hope.
You're CIA handler.
How big is your hentai collection, Tyler?
My hentai?
Yeah, like the guy behind you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is way bigger than mine. I have a wife. She'd kill me probably.
Yeah, Osama was a tentacle fan. He was a fan
Osama
of the
bin
tentacles.
Laden.
He
Mark,
was the
you got
best
anything to
CIA
say?
agent ever.
Not really.
Mark, you got anything to say?
No.
No,
I don't.
Mark is very upset. Mark is a snake priest, and
Oh, yeah.
Pentecostal.
Right.
Mark was raised
right,
Pentecostal.
Right.
It's not as
I
bad as
was.
being raised Catholic. It's fine.
Yeah.
My priest turned out to be one of those priests, so.
Y'all get bit by snakes. Nelson's people, they fuck children. So.
Jesus Christ.
Right.
Oh my God.
Just keeping it brutally honest.
Italians?
Jesus.
All right, whoa.
Wow.
All right, first off, I got this fucking spaghetti wall reference here by Walter White's stunt double, and then I got fucking Nathan over here talking about fucking this anti-Italian discrimination is not going to stand. All right. Oh my God.
The mob did good for this country.
It did. Okay, we wouldn't have this problem with the Satanic Temple if the mob.
We wouldn't have Cuomo if it wasn't for the mob.
Whoa, governor in exile. You put some respect on his name. Oh my God. Anyway.
Good to have you guys on. This was a fucking great episode.
Yeah, David, Nathan, thanks for coming on.
Thanks for hosting us. It was a lot of fun.
Hell yeah. I'm gonna do this outro real quick. At Dixieland, the proletariat will believe the South will rise again, but this time for the right reasons, those being worker-owned means of production, decolonization, and self-determination for all oppressed peoples. Make sure to click on our link tree in the show notes to find all of our social media. And if you're very, very, very lucky, you might even find Tommy on Twitch and get a matchup invite to Uncle Tommy's Twitch cabin. It's his name idea, not mine. Please don't cancel me.
No, it isn't. It's not my idea.
Yeah,
It was
Nelson decided
idea.
that.
100%. I came up with it. I'm a
You
genius.
call him Uncle Tommy every day in the group chat.
All the time. All the time. But we are streaming
You say, boy, come over here, boy.
We're streaming every Saturday on Twitch.
Play your video games
7
on the
p.m.
TV for everybody.
7 p.m. Central, 8 p.m. Pacific. God damn it. 7 p.m. Central, 8 p.m. Eastern. Okay. God.
Play the basketball game for everybody.
Yeah.
If you're Mountain Time,
Do a
fuck
little
off.
soft shoe.
Oh my God. We're coming to you from the birthplace of the civil rights movement, Montgomery, Alabama, as well as sweet Georgia and jolly old England. We would like to recognize that we're recording on occupied land that rightfully belongs to the Muskogee Nation and the Cherokee Nation. David, Nathan, disembodied voice known as Nathan. Thank you all for coming on. Hail Satan.
Thanks for having us.
I learned a lot. I didn't speak to my co-host. I learned a lot. I'm sure they learned a lot. Everyone's gonna learn a lot.
Yeah, this was fucking tight as shit.
Yeah, this is pretty dope. So, but yeah, thanks for coming on. Thanks for educating us. I'm now someone who doesn't just believe that Anton LaVey ran everything. So I appreciate it. Tyler.
I've got a very special one for this one. Dark Lord willing, and the river of blood don't rise. I'll see y'all motherfuckers in hell.
Can only hope.
God damn
Here's
it.
to the